The Russian Sleep Experiment, Urban Legends. The story goes that towards the end of the 1940s, Soviet researchers sealed 5 prison inmates in an airtight chamber that dosed them with experimental stimulation gas to test the effects of prolonged sleep deprivation. Their behavior was observed via 2-way mirrors, and their conversations monitored electronically. They were promised their freedom if they could go without sleep for 13 days. The Russian Sleep Experiment. The first few days passed away eventually. By the 5th day, however, the subjects began showing signs of stress and were overwhelmed, bemoaning their circumstances. They stopped conversating with their fellow inmates, choosing instead to whisper, compromising information about one another into their microphones, apparently in an effort to win the favor of the researchers. Paranoia set in. On the 9th day, the screaming began. First, one subject, then another, was observed running around the chamber, screaming for hours on end. Equally disconcerting was the behavior of the quieter subjects, who began ripping apart the books they had been given to read, smearing the pages with feces and plastering them over the mirrored windows so the actions could no longer be observed. Just as suddenly, the screaming stopped. The subjects ceased communicating altogether. 3 days passed without a sound from inside their chamber. Fearing the worst, the researchers addressed them via the intercom. "We're opening the chamber to test the microphone. Step away from the door and lie flat on the floor or you'll be shot. Compliance will earn you 1 of your immediate freedom." A voice from inside answered, "We no longer want to be freed." 2 more days passed without contact of any of these signs. Finally, they decided to terminate the experiment. At midnight on the 15th day, stimulant gas was flushed from the chamber and replaced with fresh air in preparation for the subject's release. Far from being pleased with the prospect of living, the subjects began screaming as if in fear for their lives. They begged to have the gas turned on. Instead, the researchers unsealed the door to the chamber and sent armed soldiers inside to retrieve them. Nothing could prepare them for carnage they witnessed upon entering. Impact on the subjects. 1 subject was found dead, lying face down in 6 inches of body water. Chunks of flesh have been torn off and stuffed into the floor drain. All of the subjects has been severely mutilated. In fact, even worse, the wounds appeared to be self-inflicted. They had ripped off their own abdomens and disemboweled themselves with their bare hands. Some even eaten their own flesh. The 4 who were still alive seemed terrified of falling asleep and refused to leave the chamber, again pleading with the researchers to turn the gas back on. When the soldiers attempted to remove the inmates by force, they fought back so ferociously they couldn't believe their eyes. One suffered a ruptured spleen and lost so much blood that there was literally nothing left for his heart to pump blood, yet continued flailing for a full 3 minutes till his lifeless body collapsed. The remaining of the subjects were restrained and transported to a medical facility for treatment. The first to be operated on fought so ferociously against being authenticized that he tore muscles and broke bones during the struggle. As soon as their anesthetic took effect, his heart stopped and he died. The rest underwent surgery without sedation, far from feeling any pain. However, they laughed hysterically on the operating table. So so hysterically that the doctors, perhaps fearing for their own sanity, administered a paralytic agent to immobilize them. After surgery, the survivors were asked why they had mutated themselves and why they so desperately wanted to go back in the stimulating gas. Each, in turn, gave the same enigmatic answer: "I must remain awake." The researchers were constantly euthanizing them to obliterate every trace of the failed experiment, but were overruled by their condemning officer. With 3 of the researchers joining the inmates in the sealed chamber, horrified, chief researcher pulled out a pistol and shot the commanding officer point blank. Then he turned and shot one of the 2 surviving subjects. Aiming his gun at the last, he asked, "What are you? I must know." "Have you forgotten so easily?" The subject grinned. "We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralyze when you go into nocturnal heaven where we cannot tread." The researcher fired a bullet into his heart. The EGG monitor flatlined as the subject murmured these last words: "So nearly free." Analysis and reality check. It's a given that humans begins requiring a certain amount of sleep on a regular basis in order for our minds and body to function properly. Anyone who has experienced a night or 2 or 3 of insomnia knows how critical even a few hours of refreshing sleep can be to one's health and well-being. What would happen if we went 15 more days without the nature downtime virtually every scientist creature requires? Would we fall apart mentally and physically? Would we go insane? Would we die? It's questions like this the Russian sleep experiments were supposedly designed to answer, with the horrifying, catastrophic results reported above. Now for a dose of reality gas. No such experiment took place. While the premise that keeping a group of people awake for 15 days straight would end in a cannibalistic bloodbath makes for a gripping fictional horror story, it's not borne out by scientific evidence. The so-called Russian sleep experiment never took place, although other creepy experiments did. In point of fact, no human experiments of the type and duration described above had ever been conducted. None that have been made public at any rate. The world record is 11 days without sleep. Randy Gardner, a student at Point Loma High School in San Diego, California, went without sleep for 11 days for the Guinness World Record. He suffered bouts of dizziness, memory loss, shuttered speech, hallucinations, and even paranoia over the course of a 264-hour experiment. But at no time did he exhibit anything resembling the extreme behaviors allegedly observed by the Russian researchers. Gardner reportedly slept for 14 hours straight when the project was over, and awoke feeling rested and alert. He suffered no lasting ill effects. While Gardner did, in fact, beat the existing benchmark for days gone without sleep, his feat was never actually listed in the Guinness Book of World Records. He missed the submission deadline. The more recent title holder in this category was Marine Weston of Cambridgeshire, England, who stayed awake for 13 days and 17 hours during a rocking chair marathon in 1977. She neither ripped open her own abdomen nor ate her own flesh. Miss Weston holds the Guinness World Records for sleep deprivation to this day. A world about creepypasta. The Russian sleep experiment is an experiment of Creepypasta, an internet nickname for frightening images and fictional horror stories that circulate virally online. The oldest version was posted to the Creepypasta wiki on August the 10th, 2010 by a user calling him or herself Orange Soda. The original author is listed as unknown.